Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure to be here and to catch up on our shows. We've been behind a little bit, but we're able to catch up today. And so I'm very, very glad to be here so that we can get on point with the things we should be discussing. Also, keep in mind that we are having a very tumultuous shift in the black community. I want you to know that. And P. Diddy is on the very cusp. He's on the very cusp of this change. Right now, we're beginning to see agents who have had immunity. We're able to see agents who have had immunity. And we're going to be talking about that because you and I both know that this government, the government that we're in, rewards its killers. We talked about that before. This government rewards its killers. We're going to take our time this evening to get some understanding. We're going to take our time to understand exactly what's going on. Open the mind of young brothers and sisters who may not be privy to this knowledge that we have. A lot of brothers and sisters are not privy. Just not privy to the knowledge that we have. And I also like to say the rap community from Ice-T, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Dre on down have dirty hands or at least dirty information where they could have talked about the problems that was happening with people who are under Puffy's quote-unquote tutelage in the rap and music industry, entertainment industry, and also none are exempt. It's time for us as brothers and sisters to be looking out for one another. Today, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about the assassination of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, because it's very important that we talk about it. Now, as you know, the last show that we had, and we have to put things in perspective, and I want you to have it in perspective because I know by you having things in perspective, then you'll get proper understanding of exactly what's going on. So I want you to be aware that the killing against Tupac Shakur, the tie in to the East Coast West Coast rivalry, all boils down to individuals who wanted fame, who wanted to be known, who wants to be known in public eye. We've entered a time, and we've always been in it, but we've entered a time now with the advent of media and all of that, that this vision that telecast promotes has made brothers and sisters drunk with the desire to be noticed. So ultimately, no matter what time period you're in, whether it be television, whether it be telemedia, social media, or whatever it is, brothers and sisters have been drunk with this power to get noticed. Drunk with the power to get noticed. They don't care. The people who want it, who desire to be seen, don't care how they get it. They don't care about the effects that it has on other people's lives or anything like that. And I want you to know that because this is important. This is very important because this is one of the things that we're fighting in bondage. It's still a great part of capitalism. And we're going to take our time so other brothers and sisters can be here because I've got two other shows after this. But I don't want to miss any of these shows. So when I miss a day, because we have a busy schedule, then we have to go back to catch up. Another good thing too is this: Liberation Temple X will be a reality. So we have a new temple coming up, which is Muhammad Mosque 28. Another temple produced by Muhammad Mosque 28, and that's from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It has nothing to do with the Farrakhan Muslim trend. I have to say it that way. I just want to let you know that it's under the guidance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as it relates to his representative, the Most Honorable Silas Muhammad, who's our ground zero, so to speak, is in Houston, Texas. So, lastly, the last show that we talked about, the last show that we had up, right, which was on March the 31st, we have to sort of shift things back. That last show was the rise of the new Black Panther Party, Aaron Michaels. This is very important, brothers and sisters. And prior to that, we talked about the Black Panther Party, right? We have to put these things in chronology just so you can understand exactly what's going on. You have to understand exactly what's going on as it relates to these organizations, because then you'll begin to see the involvement of the government and other individuals that are affecting us in our community for the worse. And remember when I tell you, and I always tell you, that this government rewards its killers and all of those that are organizing killers. So prior to the rise of the new Black Panther Party, we had the destruction of the Black Panther Party. So you have the destruction of the Black Panther Party, you got the rise of the new Black Panther Party, and then you have the death of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And that says a lot, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Because I want you to understand that Dr. Khalid was indeed a threat. You have to understand that. You have to understand that because he taught the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Remember when I told you that Muhammad is the key. Whatever he taught, see, was about liberation of black folk, separation of death. He didn't go back on that. Is that right or wrong, brothers and sisters? He never went back on that. And we have to understand, we have to have understanding. We have to have understanding. We must have understanding of this. Is that right or wrong? You and I, we must have understanding today. And my desire and my prayer is that you would understand and understand that anything that we say is not against Farrakhan, but we're speaking in the power of the most honorable. We're not against Puffy. We're speaking about the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're not against Snoop Dogg or any other Suge Knight or any of the ones that had Tupac killed. Yeah, he was killed. He was assassinated. Dr. Dre, Snoop, and all of them were involved. That's right. Dr. Khalid, the interesting thing about him is that he was involved in the community of change as it relates to Generation X and Generation Y. You have to understand that. And Generation Z, right? And the millennial. Because the prophecy and the teaching that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has come through the lips of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And you have to understand that. This is very important. If you don't understand anything else, you have to understand that. Because if you understand that, then you understand Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was loyal to Farrakhan, but he was no flunky of Farrakhan. This is very different. He believed in the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and as long as Farrakhan was teaching it, as long as Farrakhan was teaching the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, then he had a loyal Khalid. But when he began to find out that Farrakhan was teaching the direct opposite of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, then there were problems. Problems began to brew. So you have to understand that. And we're going to talk about it because it's important that you understand it. And by having understanding of this particular situation and the situations that follow it, then you'll have a pattern, right? Because there's always a formula, right? And an algorithm for assassination. We talked about that sometime earlier. Formula and algorithm for assassination. A pattern, an algorithm or a pattern for assassination. And you'll begin to understand that. And remember, America reward its killers. I want you to understand that. If you don't understand anything else, understand that America reward its killers. And it's very important for us to get this show out. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, and you know I must, that we have our Prince Imhotep University. We have Prince Imhotep University. We want you to certainly get involved. Certainly get involved because you need teaching, training, and learning. and should be able to create certain remedies and powers and have the history to educate young brothers and sisters in our community so that they will know that we are creators. We are the cream of the crop, and there's nothing invented that the black man didn't touch. Anything the black man touched was an invention, and anybody he touched was a healing. And so you have to understand that. We have all of this knowledge in Prince Imhotep University, and we welcome you to certainly get involved. You have to get involved so you will know exactly what's going on. And I'm putting this in the comment section, right? Chat section to our left, right rather. And so you would have that information. Paste it in there and you're able to get it. And it's very important that we learn. We have to, there's no way that we can boycott other colleges, or can't boycott other stores. We can't boycott car dealerships or anything like that, which that's where your mind should be. Your mind should be there. But you'll never be able to do it if you don't have your own. And I'm sure you would agree that we do need our own. But you'll never be able to do it if you don't have your own. So your desire and your prayer should be to be able to raise these things up. You should be able to raise them up. You should raise them up. You got any sense, you will raise them up. So you'll be able to have your own. So we just want to say that. And we also have our remedies, right? And that's African-centered psychiatry home, right? And we're going to get those things down to you. So you have that African-centered. African-centered psychiatry and medicine, because we have to have that. Okay. All right. So just remember that you need treatment in mental health and even herbal health. We have herbs for mental health and for physiological health. So we want to let you know that. And we if you have a broken arm, we can set bones, reset them, shin splints and things like that. Okay. And that way, when it's reset and braced the right way, if you want to go to the hospital, then you can go. Okay, if that's what you want to go. But the only thing they're going to do is reset it and give you pain pills. And so we can do that, right? I want to teach you to be able to do it. You should be able to reset these things. This is natural stuff. You should be able to reset the bones that you've broken and all of that stuff. You should be able to do it. Okay. So a lot of the black brothers and sisters don't have health care. So they need brothers and sisters in the community that have some understanding of health care to be able to take care of someone when their health is in danger. Is that right or wrong, brothers and sisters? So we should be ready. There's no sense in us talking about anything. No sense in us talking about anything when we're not ready. The worst thing in the world is for you to stand up wanting change and then you got to turn around and go to the devil's hospital. It's horrible. We have to and should be doing these things on our own. We should be doing these things on our own. So we got a challenge. You and I, brothers and sisters, you and I have a challenge. We have holistic, and I have to do this because all of this, these ones keep us running. We have holistic practice and products. So we have these products that you can get. If you're sick, you can get these products. They're very affordable. And every dime that you send in, just understand that it goes to keep us running. And some people are saying, well, at the end of the day, it's about money. Of course it is. Of course it is. If you go to McDonald's or McGrunnell's, you go there and you buying yourself, that poison burger. I call it human burgers, right? Excuse me. And so you're not even gonna question the person at the counter because you're gonna pay. Not even gonna question them. This we do, brothers and sisters. We do it for free. It's nonprofit, but we need you to donate to our organization so that we're able to give you good information. Keep running. We got to keep running. And every other race understands that. That's the reason why their communities are doing so good, because they understand it. They understand that if you need fresh veggies, right, you can have an account with Veggie Station. I'm going to put that link in there, right? Healthy eating. Call it Veggie Station 2. And you're able to, hopefully you'll want to open up your own. This is a business opportunity at Veggie Station 2 that you can open up your own business. Imagine that. You having your own business. See, you don't have to be out of work. Because brothers and sisters need healthy stuff, so you don't have to be out of work. But, it's up to you. And don't tell me that I got a job working for the white man. Well, that's his job. You need to think about having your job and find something that you can push in your community, that your brothers and sisters won't have to go outside of the black community in order to get that help. I hope you can understand me. I pray that you can understand exactly what I'm saying. That's my desire. I pray that you can understand it, because I know if you understand it, then it'll help you. It'll help you. You can buy our books. We have books, right? Research. So everything that we talk about, we have the knowledge on. We're not just sitting around and saying something. We have knowledge on everything that we put out. We can bag it up, literally, coincidentally or by facts. We can literally bag it up. And you shouldn't, and I wouldn't tell anybody to go anywhere and listen to anything that the person talking about it can bag up. I wouldn't tell you to do it. Wouldn't tell you to do it. Because you should ask questions about anything. None of us are beyond reproach, brothers and sisters. None of us are beyond reproach. I know some of them act like it. Our problem is that the white man got you believing that you only have so many leaders. And this is foolish, because the Bible is your history. So, you had prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet. And these prophets also had assistants, right? With every Moses came an Aaron. With every Jesus came a Judas. Is that right? With every Caesar came a Brutus. Come on, you know how it goes. And with every Moses came a Joshua. Is it right or wrong? To change the guard, right? So God has his way, right? But the devil has his way. Just as sure as you have a Joshua and you have an Aaron, you have a Judas. It all depends on what you choose. I pray that you choose to follow God. That's my desire, my prayer, is that you will follow God, because he won't lead you wrong. God won't lead you wrong. So that's why I pray that you'll follow him. See, if you follow God, you can't go wrong. So when we set these things in front of you and ask you to purchase these products, we're not telling you to do it for us. We do these things for free. We're telling you to purchase the product so we'll be able to sponsor a homeless program, be able to give health care and things of that nature. So we have a new temple coming up thanks to you and your contributions. So it'll be Muhammad Mas 28. The contribution is Liberation Temple X, so that our brothers and sisters can hear the truth. Is that right or wrong? And they won't have to worry. Once they hear the truth, they won't have to worry about listening to some lily white Jesus is supposed to be coming to save them. Brothers and sisters, it'll never happen. I'm just trying to help you, because I already know that there are people that believe that this Jesus, lily white Jesus, right? He's the same color as your enemy, and you believe that he's coming to help you. Why? It's crazy. And you're out of your mind to even think that. Totally out of your mind to even think it. I want to thank California for coming. And I want to thank California, the individuals in California, for keeping up the shop we have there. We tell you to buy black. California is doing all of that work. So we want to thank those brothers and sisters, and they know that whatever they sell from the store helps to support the Black Nationalist Network and things of that nature. And they've been with me ever since, and before there was even a YouTube. Right, and at one time, I myself even worked for Black Nationalist Network when we had Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad at that time. So we're blessed to have these brothers and sisters still working with us, and blessed to have them to tell me to continue and to stand behind me while I so that I can continue. And it's been with great sacrifice that we have continued this show. Now, there was someone, and I'm going to put my email down there. You're easily able to contact me. And if you go to the website, you can get a number and you will be certainly transferred. There was someone was asking the other day about boots. I prayed that, and I checked my email, didn't see anything in there. But if you're on here, wherever you may be listening, please, sir or ma'am, call in or let me know some way through the comments or a chat session, and I'll make sure that you're able to get those boots, because we certainly want you to buy it. And everything you do is helpful to us. Everything you do is helpful to us. So I'm certainly thankful. Certainly thankful. Now, brothers and sisters, the subject we have today is a very heavy subject. We don't have very long to deal with it, but it is very heavy in the light that we are talking about these formula and algorithms or patterns to assassination. And you have to understand that anybody that poses a true threat to American hypocrisy, what you know as American democracy, was taken out. From Martin Luther King to Malcolm X, from John F. Kennedy to Robert Kennedy, from Abraham Lincoln, and others that were killed, William Taft, others that were killed, right? They all died as a result of what they were trying to do to settle the deplorability of American hypocrisy and what is known as American democracy. And also Abraham Lincoln, who was killed, right? Because the South delegates of the United States Senate and Representative could not allow an Abraham Lincoln to live. Abraham Lincoln himself was black, you should know that. And but they couldn't allow him to live and make the decision for half slave, half free, all slave, or all free. Couldn't allow it. Couldn't allow it. He had to keep the Union together. And in light of that, that meant the federal government had to be in charge and control of everything that was going on. And this poses a great threat for those wealthy individuals, organizations that run this government, right? Because this is nothing more than a company. And I'm just trying to hip you to what's going on. I hope you don't get mad at me. There's no sense in you getting upset with me or saying, well, the brother's off the trail. I'm not confused. And I'm not off the trail. What I want you to know is that you're not free. Each time that I get up to tell you this, I just want you to know it. I want you to know it. You're not free. You're not free. You have to know that. But there's a pattern and an algorithm for assassination. Pattern, algorithm, formula for assassination. You have to know that. You have to know that. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, that the American president was killed in broad daylight. We're going to talk about that. You have to always study the killing of what I call the 4 political horsemen. You have to know the killing of the prophet Moses and his minister Aaron. You have to know that. Why do I say that? Because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was the prophet Moses to us, to Muslims and non-Muslims that would bring us out. His Aaron, he had 2. He had an Aaron, he had a Joshua. His Aaron was Minister Malcolm X, who was assassinated. It was also Albert Cleage, right? Who identified with the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, knowing that black people had to do something for themselves. He was assassinated. They financially bankrupt Dr. John Henry Clark. You have to, and Dr. Ben Yosef, you have to know this, because they changed the mindset of the people. This American machine changed the mindset of the people. See, this is what you got to understand. And racism is the foundation of Americanism. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. And when you understand that, you'll begin to understand that every assassination that happened, whether you know about it or not, has an algorithm and a formula for assassination, a pattern for such. You have to understand that. Now, we talked about the rise of the new Black Panther Party. We talked about what the Black Panther Party held, right? There were agents in the Black Panther Party, i.e., the barbecue man, who is Bobby Seale, Angela Davis. I say this out. You have to know it. What's the one sister's name? What's the one sister's name? Excuse me, brothers and sisters. Elaine Brown, who corrupted the Black Panther Party. See, we have to know this. This is stuff that we have to know. The Black Panther Party, originally the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, was a Marxist-Leninist organization, socialist. And socialists in the hands of black people will put them back into religion. We have to understand that. In the hands of black people, and put them back into religion. And religion, in the hands of black people under oppression, breeds spiritual power. It breeds messiahs. It breeds a multi-level headed ministry of liberation. You have to understand that. This is where the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had come in. He was the last great prophet, and no one before him had come in his magnitude to tell us about our freedom. No one before him, and there's been no one after him to do what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has done for black people here in America. So we have to understand that, and in light of that, understand that anything the Black Panther Party organized, they organized it with the teachings and foundation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because they're non-official influence was Minister Malcolm X. So you have to know that. This is something that you and I have got to know. We have to understand exactly what's going on. The principles were built on the teachings of liberation of Minister Malcolm X, and those teachings that the Minister Malcolm had gotten had come from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad were the foundations of Minister Malcolm. So we have to understand that. It's very important for us to understand that. Now, the Black Panther Party, the Muslim Mosques Incorporated, was the transference of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the secular world, right, along with the ideas of liberation and a united black front. So what civil rights couldn't do, human rights could do in the right hand, right? So you go from a religious political movement to a religious, social, and political movement, but the foundation was the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You have to understand that. And I say that, I repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. I'll continue to repeat it because it's very important, and it's something that you must know. That the Black Panther Party, originally the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, was a Marxist, Leninist, and Black Power political organization founded by the college students Bobby Seale and Hewitt P. Newton in October 1966. Okay, Oakland, California was the place. So, and see how this goes into this ideology, goes into not only the rap game of the West Coast, but also goes to the rap game of the East Coast, because you're still looking at the influence of the Nation of Islam as it relates to unorganized, their influence on unorganized people and crime, because they would take them out of that and teaching this mindset to change their lives to religious, political vehicle for change. So again, the Black Panther Party, originally the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, was a Marxist, Leninist and Black Power political organization founded by college student Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. Now, here's what's important. The fact that they were found in Oakland, California, because it could happen there, because of this liberated mindset that Black people had already had, and this mass migration from the South, which was oppression, to political and religious oppression. That's something that Black people could change. When we understand that our religion is nothing more than a social movement, and our stance is a conservative movement as it relates to the political process, then, brothers and sisters, what we have is a vehicle, a moral conscience, right, and a momentum for change. This is how Martin Luther King was able to mobilize the church. But he didn't understand the true, I don't believe the earlier Martin Luther King really understood the true power that he had. He doesn't learn that until 1965, but by that time he had been dealing with Minister Malcolm X. He had been dealing with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He had been dealing with, if you go back, Muhammad Ali, right? So you have to understand that Muhammad was such an influence that he was even running over, his cup was running over, and there were many brothers drinking from the cup, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was very wise to see advantages. Very wise to see advantages. So he wanted to reinvest from 1965, the lost time, because he said he led his people into a burning house, right? After August the 23rd, I believe, 1963, August the 28th, between August the 23rd to the 28th, 1963, March on Washington, and the organization of the March on Washington as they began to control the movement that would come into the city with the help of the President of the United States. But he understood that there was nothing more than a poppy movement because it was no real advance. Dr. King's assistant, one of his associates, who was C.T. Vivian, said that we have been duped, or we have duped ourselves into believing that we could desegregate this country through the civil rights movement alone, right? And he said we've come to find out that small levels of integration has done nothing more but secure us, more secure us, or secure us more to oppression. So we have to understand that. So everyone is looking at this massive change, and this the young generation is going to bring this change. And Hugh and Bobby were young. One was from served in the government, the other straight from the college. So you had social and political aspirations right there for change. For change, they have been exposed for the sake of change. They knew that they had power for the sake of change. And when anytime you got a momentum like this, then you'll have, anytime you got Jesus, that's what I'm telling you, when the Black people have this kind of momentum, then you know that Judas is not far away. But Judas belonged to the state, right? Judas belonged to the federal government. Judas belonged to the powers, right, that are running current operations, right? And they give him money, dirty, filthy lucre, money. Right? And the Judas love of money and fame and power is the institution of depravity of life, depravity of the flesh, right? And lust of the eye. So the party was active. This is the Black Panther Party was active from 1966 to 1982. They had chapters in every major American city, including San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Philadelphia. And that's very important, Seattle and Philadelphia, because they were very aggressive. And keep in mind that in Seattle, there were very few blacks. There wasn't as many blacks as there were white. Except when you get to Kingston and places like that. But they were very effective in uniting the Black community for a common cause. Philadelphia, even today, has a massive wing and area that belongs to Black people. It is one of the most, if not the most, politically controlled area for Black people and moral conscious. Black folks are conscious in Philadelphia. Understand this. The Black Panther Party was active in many prisons, had international chapters in the United Kingdom and Nigeria. Upon its inception, the party core practice was open carry for the patrols. This is weapon. They watched the cops. Because you know they knew the cops was up to stuff. Even today, you got some cops that are up to a lot of stuff. Drugs and all of that. Pimping it in the community. I'm just telling you the truth. You know it. You know it. Some of the killings are getting rid of black people who know the truth, who are not going to stand for evil. These patrols were designed to challenge the excessive force and misconduct of the Oakland Police Department. I want you to understand that from 1969 onward, the party created social programs, including free breakfast programs for children, education programs, community health clinics. What are we talking about? The Black Panther Party controlled these things. The Black Panther Party advocated for class struggle. In other words, we want to control our own stuff, our own community. And we don't believe we should support you if you don't support us. This was the mindset. And they're talking to the American government, right? They were claiming part of the proletariat vanguard. Because with Marxist Leninists, right, what they have, you had the bourgeoisie, you had the proletariat, you had the wealthy, and you had the poor, right? So we know that because of this power, and we're just building the foundation, so I can tell you about the assassination of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. In 1969, because see, Khalid knew, he knew Hewitt P. Newton. Dr. Khalid knew Hewitt P. Newton. So we're going to get to that. 1969, J. Edgar Hoover, director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, described the party as the greatest threat to international security. Now, I don't understand that, right? But you can understand it. Why? If they're a threat, you can understand why. Because they're changing the status quo. Did you know that this government needs you in poverty? They need you ignorant. They need you carrying guns, shooting one another, because you'll do the job for them. They would rather you kill each other out. They would rather that than have to pay you reparations. We're very close to reparations now. So Hoover called it the greatest threat to the international security of the country. The FBI sabotaged the party with illegal and covert counterintelligence program of surveillance, infiltration, perjury, police harassment, all designed to undermine and criminalize the party. Party wasn't criminal. The government made it criminal because they put black people on the same sheet of music across the country. And you have to understand that is a threat to the white man who put you in slavery, have you in oppression. Because if you ever get together and create your own stores, you won't be going to his stores. That's a threat. That's a threat. If you planting your own food, you can reap your own food. You won't be going to the grocery store. If you can redo your own cars, remanufacture used cars, you won't have to worry about buying his cars. Because you can fix these things yourself. You start buying cars from the auction, pulling those cars from the auction and making your own car lots, you can buy cars from yourself. Everything that the white man has, including his court system, police, and all of that, you will have it in your community. And that's why you're a threat. He needs your dollars to survive. That was the whole purpose of integration, brothers and sisters. And I just want you to know. And we have to build this foundation so you understand exactly what's going on. So they were involved in the 1969 assassination of Fred Hampton, you know that, and Mark Clark, who were killed in a raid by the Chicago Police Department, run by the Daily Machine. Hope you caught that. The Black Panther Party members were involved in many fatal firefights with the police. Hewitt Newton allegedly killed Officer John Frey. Allegedly. So they'll kill their own and blame you for it. In 1967, L.J. Cleaver, Minister of the Information for the new Black Panther Party, or rather the Black Panther Party, led an ambush in 1968 of the Oakland police officers, and in which 2 officers were wounded, and Panther treasurer Bobby Hutton, there was young Bobby Hutton, was killed. The party suffered many internal conflicts resulting from the murders of 2 agents, Alex Rackley and Betty Van Patten. And so they were under siege. Now, Bobby Robert Hutton, we're going to concentrate on him just a little bit, was connected. He was very young, I think about 17 years of age. But his connection with the next generation youth made him a threat. I want you to understand that this wasn't a, what do you call it? Killing that was not directed. It was a direct killing. I want you to understand that. Robert James Hutton was born April 21st, 1950. April the 6th, 1968, he was about 17 years old, 17 years old, about to turn 18 when he was killed. He was known as Little Bobby. He was the treasurer and first recruit to join the Black Panther Party alongside Eldridge Cleaver and other Panthers. He was involved in confrontation with the Oakland police that wounded 2 officers. Hutton was killed by the police under disputed circumstances. Understand that, disputed circumstances. Cleaver stated Hutton was shot while surrendering with his hands up, while the police stated he ignored commands and tried to flee. Doesn't seem like exactly what they do today. They say, let me see your hand. And the minute you show your hands, then they'll try to shoot you. They'll try to get you to move. Is that right? So we have to understand that this is about black power, about black nationalism, right? Anti-imperialism, intercommunalism. We have to understand that. The political position, they say, is the far left, but here's the thing. They can't give you a political position if you don't have a place. Now, the new Black Panther Party, we talked about them, right? And we have just a brief synopsis by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his influence on Minister Malcolm, who breathed the Black Panther Party, and the rise of this agent, Aaron Michaels, right? And the people are on to him because I believe that Dr. Khalid and his connection with Huey Newton and the Newton family, I have to say that, the Huey P. Newton and the Newton family, I'll put it that way. They are on to Aaron Michaels. At this time, Dr. Khalid, like Minister Malcolm, was ousted from the Nation of Islam, not by a real Muslim, but an agent, because Farrakhan is an agent. Farrakhan is the same agent, along with Agent Wallace Wardeen Muhammad, along with agent and informant National Press Secretary John Ali, along with Captain Joseph, who was an informant, along with Gene Roberts, who was in the who later was in the Organization of Afro-American Unity, and James Goodman, right? James Goodman, right? James 2X, who came out of the Nation of Islam movement with Minister Malcolm X, was put in there by the FBI and CIA, later transferred to the Organization of Afro-American Unity, or Muslim Mosques Incorporated. And once Minister Malcolm X was killed, and when the job was being done, they were hiding back in the office, because he even said that here's a man that will die for you, right? And so that was to derail the Black Nationalist Liberation Call, which broke into the Black Power movement, also with the aid of Adam Clayton Powell from 1955 to his death. And from that, you get the Black Panther Party, right? And then these agents are still dropping through. Aaron Michaels is from this agency of the government, right? They come through. And Dr. Khalid is more favored from the teaching lesson with the new Black Panther Party. And they didn't expect it. It's not something they expected. God had raised up from among us another Messiah who would lead us for a time, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And while he's raising him up, Dr. Ava Muhammad is also being raised, who was also assassinated nearly 3 years ago. And so we have to understand that any time God brings somebody up, the devil has a Judas from among us who will assassinate those leaders. We have to learn to stop backbiting one another, stop talking about one another. I don't care how angry you get with your brother or sister. You should never talk and run down their brother or sister to no brother or sister. Don't run and talk them down, especially not to the enemy. There's no way you could call yourself a woman or man of God when you're talking to the enemy about dissolving your brother or sister, or assassinating your brother or sister, or bringing other brothers and sisters and having them to kill them out. Brothers and sisters, that's not the way. So we only have about 12 minutes, and I want to cover this very quick, but I had to build a foundation. When we talk about the new Black Panther Party, there's no way to see it other than when Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was there, because Khalid Abdul Muhammad was the breath and the ideology of the new Black Panther Party, because he wanted to instill black business. He wanted to instill a holy conscious, holistic living, right? And give them the focus that the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad would complement this party, right? And the teachings of Minister Malcolm, and saying he understood these transitions because he began to recognize Farrakhan as an agent. I have to say it. You know I got to say it, brothers and sisters. There's no sense of you getting angry with me. All of this stuff is coming out. I told you before when I talked about Puff. I told you. I said P. Diddy is involved in Tupac's murder, didn't I? You didn't listen to me. Every this stuff that's on the wire, if you was involved in black nationalism in those dates, and you understand Tupac was killed because of his influence. There's no way that Suge Knight and somebody like Sean Combs could get the influence that they have unless the government is giving it to them. You got to understand that. Any black person they put in front of you that they're uplifting, you have to understand that the reason they're there is because of the federal government. The federal government is not going to put anyone in front of you to lead you or dog them out with all of these wealth and riches and glory and fame, right? Unless it's somebody that they control that can have an influence over you. Other than that, all the ones that stood up, that were standing in the power of God and that were sent by God, was killed by these devils. Now you understand why we call them the devil. So I just wanted you to know that. Now, the Black Panther Party is a black nationalist organization founded in Dallas, Texas. Right? James Byrd was killed in Texas, 1989. Despite its name, the new Black Panther Party, right? Because they have a right to call themselves what they want. The core party, or those that are in the new Black Panther Party, were not recognized by the old Black Panther Party, which poses a problem because it is one of the weaknesses in our race. We've got to learn how to turn power over to our youth. Older people in the black community try to hang on to power too long. And by the time that they transferred it, it's hardly any influence there. So we've got to learn how to bridge off. Don't take their power. Organize our own organization so we can take the message farther. And this is one of the things I like about the Black Panther Party and the new Black Panther Party, is that it was organized by a young organization that will continue, right? And you never find the new Black Panther Party ridiculing any other organizations that come up. They try to bridge them as long as they know that they're not agents. Now, there's a certain part of the new Black Panther Party that was infiltrated by agents and informants, right? Provocateurs, right? The new Black Panther Party in its infancy as an organization out of Dallas, Texas, 1989, right? Because it was created in 1989. I want you to understand that Huey Newton, and I also want you to look at the dates. Huey Newton was killed in the 80s. Is that right or wrong, brothers and sisters? 1989, I believe it was. Huey Newton was killed in 1989, right? And he was the breath and life of the Black Panther Party. He was killed in August the 22nd, 1989. Then come the rise of the new Black Panther Party. Brothers and sisters, why, if you can't see this, you're completely out of your mind. If you can't see this, you're ignorant. You're ignorant. You can't see this to understand that this man was killed. That he was killed, assassinated, right, by the government, and the government instilled an agent to make a new Black Panther Party because of the steam that the Black Panther Party had produced and the power that it had produced and the program that it had produced, because if they could do that, then they can get in control of what they call subversive movements. So Brother Hewitt was killed, right? The whole avenue of the Black Panther Party, the breadth of the Black Panther Party, the inspiration was taken out. Bobby Seale was still alive. All the Judases, unless they killed themselves, are still alive because they work for the government. And when they die, the government will take them out or either let them die. And by the time they do kill them, they'll have no more influence. You look at Farrakhan, he's no threat. I keep telling you that. He's the best example of an agent that we could find. So now, brothers and sisters, I want you to understand that when you find a, how can I put this? When you find an organization that is concerned about building up its community, it becomes a threat to the community that's already built. If the white man created a plantation, that's what America is. The last thing he wants you to do is interrupt it by saying that you refuse to work on that plantation. You may work within it, but you won't work on it. Is that right or wrong? I hope you can understand and appreciate what I'm saying. That if you work in the organization, you won't work on the organization, because the organization, you begin to understand that everything it stands for is against you. Dr. Khalid refused to work on the plantation. He would work within the plantation, but he wouldn't work on the plantation, because that is a big difference. Is that right or wrong? So he became a threat to national security, right? Not just from what he said and believed, but what he practiced. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, born Harold Moore Jr., January the 12th, 1948 to February the 17th, 2001, right? Because he was assassinated officially on the 18th, but they poisoned him on the 17th, 2001. He was a black Muslim. You'll hear him say African-American Muslim. No such thing as African-American. No such thing at all. But he was a black Muslim minister and activist who became a prominent figure in the Nation of Islam and later the new Black Panther Party, as we will discuss. And after a racially inflammatory speech in 1993 at King College, Muhammad was condemned and removed from his position in the Nation of Islam by the Minister Louis Farrakhan, or the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in respect to the position that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had created in his order. So he was also censored by both houses of the United States Senate and Representative, so both houses of Congress. After being removed from the Nation of Islam, he served as the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party until his death in 2001, which he was assassinated through poison and had a brain aneurysm, right? Clot exploded. Clot wouldn't move, and it exploded the blood vessels in the brain. He advocated black independence and stated a personal practice of anti-miscegenation. Now, this means laws that enforce racial segregation at a level of marriage and intimate relationships by criminalizing interracial marriages, and sometimes they also criminalize sex between members of different races. And I want you to understand something. I want you to understand something. That Dr. Khalid, and we have to say this because you have to know it. Dr. Khalid was very much against interracial marriages, dating, for the reason of understanding what it produced and what it was originally created for. You have to understand that. This is very important that you understand it. It's very, very, very important that you understand that. And this was written by Louis Theroux in 1999 when he wrote Black Nationalism. You have to Have to understand that. This is one reference. Now, you also have to understand that there's a trick and play on words in Wikipedia when you see that writing according to Dr. Khalid, because you have to understand who is upkeeping the page, right? And why America would allow the page to be displayed. Come on, brothers and sisters. Here's a brother that stood 10 feet down, right? 10 hands down, stood firmly on what he believed, which is black nationalism, which is black business, which is black healthcare, black production, black religion, everything that's going to build up the black man. And he continued to, no matter what the pressure was, he continued to believe that and to produce it. He began to produce it. So you can talk about anything, but you begin to produce it, you become a threat. America has to remove that. If you and I could get together and form an organization, just want to say this to you, no matter what it is, we have things already running. But if you and I get together and form an organization, and in this organization, there are no whites allowed, we got to have some sense to do that. All you got to do is open your mind and begin to do that. The minute that you do that, you are a threat. But it is the best position to be in, because then you can educate your people. This is the Muslim movement. This is the black nationalist movement. This is the black Christian nationalist movement, right? Because you got people that believe this, that are black Christian, black Muslims, right? And no matter what the other religions are in Christianity, if they're black, they believe the same thing. You have to understand that. You have to understand it. This is the place to be. This is why I say get on God's side. God run these organizations because he'll run your mind. If you get the white man out of your mind, because he rules you with fear. Fear is not of God. Brothers and sisters, fear is not of God. But God has given us, he has not given us the spirit of fear, but he's given us a power and love and a sound mind. That's what God has given us. And if we follow God's way, if we get on God's side, then God will be on our side. We got to get to the place too where we begin to forgive one another and respect one another in the position that God has given us. And we won't have all of this betrayal and assassination of our leaders that God is providing for us. Dr. Khalid was assassinated. You know this is true. I've told you before. You don't have to say who did it. You already know who did it. You know who was involved. You know who did it and you know who was involved. But we've got to stop this killing of our leaders. We got to stop it, brothers and sisters. We have to find a more excellent way. I want to thank you for coming on with me this short time. And just remember that we'll be back. We have 2 more shows that we're going to do. And we'll be back to you at 7:30, so we don't have very long. And then we'll be coming back to you at 10:30 to catch us up to date. So I certainly want to thank you. Want to thank extra shout out to Arkansas. Thank you for your help. Tennessee. We want to thank. Certainly thank Oregon. We want to thank Seattle. We want to thank Los Angeles, Nevada. We want to thank you. Las Vegas, Nevada. We want to thank you. We want to thank Arizona, New Mexico. We're growing now, and a lot of them will get the shows late, but they're certainly sending their support. I'm thankful for that. I want to thank Detroit, Michigan. I want to thank Chicago. I want to thank New York. I want to thank DC. We want to, let's see, who is that? We want to thank Bakersfield, New York. We want to thank, who is that? Florida and Savannah, Georgia. So we want to thank you. Certainly want to thank Columbia, South Carolina. Want to thank also Ohio. So brothers and sisters, we want to thank you because and organizations that are helping as well, because we can't do anything without you. Also, on a high note, we want to let you know that we have another mosque coming up, and this is successful setup at least 4 mosques and study groups of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Peace be unto him. And we thank him for Master Fard Muhammad. We also We're also thankful for Sister Mother Claire Muhammad. We're thankful for Minister Malcolm, his sacrifices. Thankful for Sister Betty X. Shabazz and her sacrifice and her daughters and all of that. And we want to thank them for all of their help in the past and present, with them not showing partiality, and because we have been very apologetic for what has happened and have promised to do better. And we've provided protection and will continue to provide protection for these individuals as we lie in the shadows to make sure that everything is safe. So we're thankful to say that. Brothers and sisters, we have to continue to be prayerful, have to continue to be thankful as a people. We want to continue to be upstanding and righteous as Muslims, as Black Christians, no matter what we are. We want to continue to be instruments of God and be God's handiwork in the sense that we have respect for ourselves, our community men and women, and our aspirations as it relates to fulfilling the commandments of God. Brothers and sisters, love one another. Husbands and wives, love each other. Love your children. Children, be respectful to your parents. Be respectful. That is the teaching of God. This is how God wants us to be. And if we follow God's way, then we'll find out that we can change our community. We won't have to be marching down the street. I said we won't have to be marching down the street. If we can do the will of God, then God will certainly empower us to change this world one person at a time. But we have to kill the Judas. We have to kill the Judas. We have to kill the spirit of Judas and do what God has set us out to do. And I'm so thankful that he sits high and looks low. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? That he's always there for us, always there when we need him. All you have to do is call on him. He has salvation, brothers and sisters, in his word, in his works. Is that right? God is able to do everything, and he will do everything, and he will answer those who call him. Is that right? Because he's the kind of God that if you ask him for a stone, he'll give you bread. Right? He's the kind of God, if you ask him for money, he'll supply all your need. But not only that, but he'll bless you so you can bless someone else. Never forget that. That's the kind of God that we're dealing with. So we're very thankful today for what God is doing for us. We ask that you'll continue help. Don't forget, anything that you're trying to order, anything that you need, please, brothers and sisters, we ask you to send it in the email. If you can't get the regular email, send it in the email that I provided for you in the chat, and we'll certainly get those things to you because we know that you need them. We'll certainly get them to you. We're thankful for everything that you do in this day and time. We can't do it without you. I have enough sense to know it. There's nothing that we can do without you. Through you and with your help and with the blessings of God, we can do whatever you need, right? Because we know whatever you need, God has it, right? He has everything that you need. And we would like to be the handiwork of God and through obedience be able to provide what God would have us to provide you. And we have to be working as people of God. Brothers and sisters, thank you again. If I didn't say it in the beginning, I say it unto you now. If I didn't tell you I love you, I say that unto you now. Because God is able, God is willing, and God is there for us. Right? I tell you I love you. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.